Hello, everyone, and welcome to our training AI powered government: three strategies to transform your workforce. Hello, I'm Emily Jarvis, and I'm the Senior Manager for Events here at GovLoop. And today I'll also be your moderator. So thanks so much for joining me. And a special thank you to our partners at Dell Technologies and Microsoft for helping us put on this session. So let's not waste any time because there is a lot to talk about. Because in today's digital world, government agencies are under pressure to modernize fast. And the key here is empowering your workforce with the right AI capable tools, secure infrastructure, and agile processes to meet mission critical goals. So, today our experts will share how the advent of artificial intelligence is reshaping the public sector and what your agency can do to stay ahead. It's going to be a great conversation, but before we jump into all of that, I do have a few housekeeping items to go over with you all. First things first, we have a wealth of great resources available for you on the console under that resources tab along the bottom panel of your screen. This is also where you can learn a little bit more about our speakers, so make sure you check that out. If you need that closed captioning feature, you can find that under the show captions icon at the bottom right-hand side. That's where you will find that added accessibility. Of course, we hope you don't have any technical difficulties, but they can and do happen. And if they do, send us a message to that Q&A tab, and my colleague Maddie will get all of your questions sorted out. And here is the secret sauce, friends, because it's in that same portal where you can ask our experts questions. So don't you dare be shy. Put your questions in early and often. You can also chat with your fellow Govies using the chat feature in the bottom panel. Finally, we are recording this training, so check your inboxes tomorrow because we will email you a link so you can watch the entire session on demand. All right, with all of that housekeeping out of the way, I want to introduce you to our speakers. Joining us, we have Jason Joseph, who is a Workforce Transformation Solutions Principal with Dell Federal Services. We have Scott Morris, who's the Senior Director for Dell's Modern Workplace Solutions Group, and Andy Salitra, who is the Business Development Manager within Dell Federal Services. Thank you three so much for being with us. And today we are going to get things kicked off with a presentation from each of our speakers. So Scott, I'm going to hand the reins over to you.
Thank you very much, Emily. Really, thanks for getting us going after lunch for everybody, getting the energy back in. I'm here with my colleagues, Jason Joseph and Andrew, and we're really pleased to be able to spend the next 45 minutes or so with everybody. Just quick introduction. My name's Scott Morris. I am one of the leaders of our Modern Workspace Solutions team with Dell Federal. I've been supporting the federal government at Dell for 26 years, largely on the DoD side of the business, but in more recent years, I now run our civilian and federal system integrator, what we would call our PC business. So thank you again. This year, there was a lot of promise to this year, so I want to talk about some of the things that just kind of setting some foundation and then get into AI PCs, and then eventually we'll get into some of the services around AI that Jason and Andrew will talk about. But this year was, I would say, promised to be probably our biggest PC year in memory. And there's a lot of reasons. There's a lot of factors that were leading into that. One is the end of Windows 10 and the Windows 11 mandate, moving to Windows 11 by mid-October. The other was us and all of our other OEMs in the industry releasing tons of new systems, a very diverse lineup of AI PCs. And then just on the Dell side, we had a generational change in our branding, and we did a brand simplification, what we called simplification, but there's a lot of complexity in the marketplace. So it kind of balanced that out. And then a huge expansion in silicon diversity. So not only with Dell adding AMD across our portfolio, but also Qualcomm entering the marketplace with Snapdragon. and our continued relationship with Intel. So lots and lots of compelling events that we're converging this year that certainly promise to drive the government to spend a lot and spend to refresh a lot of systems that required refreshing. What we have actually got in the first half of this year is we got DOGE, we got continuing resolution, we got a lot of concern and hesitation, and we got a lot of changing leadership and changing priorities, and that's caused a lot of kind of tepid approach to change. So we've now where we come today, hopefully to help everybody in making their decisions, because we've got a very short window left between now the end of June until September 30th, and then into the next FY. But we've got to, we've got to make really good informed decisions about what PCs are in the marketplace, how to go rewrite our RFPs and our approved product lists. And hopefully in the time that we have with you today, we'll help inform you of some of the things you should at least be thinking about. I don't think we can educate you on all the technology and changes in this amount of time, but just some of the things to be thinking about, and then hopefully take away the understanding that Dell can help you on that journey. And we have teams of people that can certainly come and walk beside you in this process. Let's see how we change slides here. There we go. We've got animation. All right. Thank you to Antonella O'Brien for these slides. All right, so what we do know that's happening this year is we've got the end of Windows 10. It's ending on October 14th. That's a compelling event. We also know we've got tens and tens of thousands of federal systems that don't meet Windows 11's minimum requirements. Our services team can certainly help you know where those live and how to upgrade them, and I know that they'll be talking about that. But we can also help you understand, well, what should I actually be upgrading to? There's been a lot of changes in the branding and the products, and what used to be called PCs are now called AI PCs. So we'll start to get through that. So what's an AI PC, and why is it important? There's a lot of new technology out there. So the next really big factor you need to understand in making a good decision this year and into the future is which AI PC to choose. Next year, we'll just be calling them PCs again. They were PCs, now they're AI PCs. By next year, it will just be kind of a standard offering that you'll have all of this technology embedded, and we can just call them PCs again. But this year, there's been a massive change during the transition of these systems, so it's really important to understand. AI PCs really, they're designed to run these AI-enabled applications significantly more efficiently, giving you a lot longer battery life and productivity. But there's a flip side to that, that if you choose the wrong system and then you don't really understand the demands of your applications, you're going to be getting a lot of complaints from users about how hot the systems are and how short their battery life is. So it is an important kind of dynamic to understand. You also have differing benefits of the CPUs, whether it's from Intel or AMD or Qualcomm, kind of the management and security factors. And then layered on top of that, you have your GPU offerings from NVIDIA and AMD with Threadripper. And so you've got this much more complex PC world. So when you're setting your APL, your approved product list, and you're defining your personas or changing the personas for the organization and how to list those on RFPs, it's just really important to kind of think through and understand all these technologies. Different applications are going to get written or be coded to run towards some of these different technologies. So the neural processor unit, the NPU, or they could be written to a GPU. So whether you are buying a system that has a CPU and an NPU, or whether you're buying one that has a CPU, a GPU, and an NPU, these are all really important things to understand, and understand from your apps what how they're actually what they're going to hit and what they're going to pull from. Because what happens is you could continue buying the same system that just has a CPU and it will run these applications, but it will be taxed and it will run hot and it will run slow and your battery life will suffer. So getting the right system with the right kind of technology with the apps matched up is super important. So some of you may be saying, well, we're not doing AI. You already have AI. I can guarantee you there's AI happening on this call with Zoom. There's AI. I think when we get to Andrew, he's got, his camera will zoom in and zoom out. That's all AI. Some of these blurred backgrounds, that's all AI. And it's taxing your system if you just have a CPU already today. Gartner says that about 90% of apps that we use, standard business applications, in the commercial space will have AI features by the end of 2026. So that's 90%. You're not going to get away from that. Like I said, we're all using it already. Your users are using it. So just as a quick aside, we started to get some feedback on our new systems that they're a little bit thicker, and people are like, "Why are we going backwards? Why are we going backwards?" Well, it's the classic thing. It's a feature. So it's a design feature that our engineers recognize that AI has significant demands on heating and on airflow. And we had to have this internal battle around, thin and light and the continued kind of like how much can you jam in a system and make it the thinnest, kind of slickest system versus, well, what are customers actually doing and how are they using them and what's their user experience? And so you'll actually start to see some of our systems being a little bit thicker on the front end. It's because we put a 25% bigger fan in these AI PCs. We've moved it forward away from the battery. We've spent a lot of R&D in engineering that, and it's led to significantly fewer hotspots, reduced hotspots, and heat management. It's something we can actually sit and talk to you about with customers and show you kind of the difference between what Dell's doing and what else is out there. All right, so just a quick rundown. If you don't know this, there's kind of three categories of AI PCs that are out in the industry today. I would say AI, what's this left category, AI PCs, kind of formerly known as PCs. They've been improved by adding this neural processing unit, an NPU that's going to be offloading some of these like Teams and Zoom, making them run much more efficiently. Then you've got a category called Copilot plus PCs. These generally have a more advanced NPU that's running 40 or more tops. That's trillions of calculations per second. We've got offerings from Qualcomm, Intel, and AMD that these are running longer battery life. They're running the full suite of Copilot. And then you've got high-end, high-performance AI PCs. These are kind of formerly what we would call workstations, our precision workstations. They're used in AI development or traditional workstation apps like CAD and GIS, which also have a lot of AI built into them. They have high-end GPUs from NVIDIA and AMD. And then not on this slide is another category, which are these new category of AI developer desktop and desk side systems. For us, that's the GB10. You may have seen it announced at NVIDIA GTC or Dell World. Small square box, about around $3,000, in just huge data sets. So that's kind of coming here in July, and then followed by the GB300, which is a much larger kind of under the desk work group size AI developer box. So some really cool offerings in that high-end space. All right, so then we get into personas. So in federal RFPs, these are often called CLINs or they're just categorized as office worker, performance laptop, things like that. You see them across the federal space kind of listed that way. And they have a very specific set of requirements based on that. Um, you need to start incorporating AI into that thought process. So kind of the two big categories of personas are your AI end user. So these are your, what I would call the office worker or knowledge worker. Current that they would be using Dell Pro or Dell Pro Plus, which is like formerly Optiplex Latitude, and then also incorporate some of your power users, creators, designers up on the Dell Pro Max line, which is formerly Precision Workstation. And then the other side of that is your AI builders. These are your folks that are actually um, developing LLMs and different AI applications and doing test and development. And these are going to be requiring, much higher end systems in the Dell Pro Max line, formerly Precision as well. So understanding how to kind of match up your old personas with these new requirements is important. Something our team can help you certainly work through and identify. Transition. All right. So what makes what kind of does Dell bring to the table in all this? Well, we've got a lot of research and development and our own IP that we put into systems. Commercial systems are Dell's bread and butter. We spend a tremendous amount of time speaking to customers about what they value. We've built this Dell Trusted Workspace offering, which is included on all our systems. It's a suite of security and firmware and BIOS protections. It includes our safe supply chain. Safe supply chain's incredibly kind of topical right now, being able to identify where parts are manufactured, what their chain of command is, where they came from, kind of all the way back to the dirt, and being able to prove that out through chain of custody. That's an offering that we have, and we certainly work with a lot of our much more sensitive customers in the federal space. Um, we've got all the latest communication. I think that's pretty standard across us and the other offerings that are out there in the industry. But I think one thing um, to note is not only can we put all the latest and greatest in there, we can also remove it. So we sell a significant amount of our systems actually without near field communication, just because in the federal government, not everybody wants to have Bluetooth or a microphone or wireless. So that that flexibility exists. I think the biggest thing really on this whole slide, and if you are if you're not as interested in AI, but you are interested in managing systems, this modular USB-C offering that's now on all of our systems is kind of a huge news. So there's a little picture of it down there in the bottom left. And previously, and I think on most PCs that are out in the industry, the USB port, which your USB-C port, which you're plugging your power into, and just about everything else is attached to the motherboard. We have made that modular. It's field replaceable. It's one of the most common things to break on a PC that causes downtime. That's now modular and allows you to quickly get those fixed if someone snaps off the end of their USB-C. So that's a really cool offering. If you don't know, Dell has a rugged product line that goes back to the early 2000s that was kind of built out of federal requirements, largely in the early Gulf Wars, and requirements around dust protection. So we've got this longstanding practice of testing and engineering rugged systems, and all of that learning has certainly trickled down into our regular commercial laptops. So one of the big things that Dell brings is just kind of like these really durable office laptops that don't kind of shirk the responsibility of being just a really good, well-made product. All right. The other kind of big thing here is we tried to simplify just because of the complexity that's happening around us. So if you haven't seen this, we've kind of we've went from a dozen brands, you know, your old XPS, Inspiron, Latitude, Optiplex, Precision, and we've now settled on Dell, which is commercial, or I'm sorry, Dell, which is consumer, Dell Pro, which is what federal customers would be largely interested in, which is your commercial systems, and Dell Pro Max, which is your higher end workstation space. And you know, layered underneath that is really where the more the complexity happens, is because there's more silicon diversity, more offerings. Intel for us is still where we lead when customers are looking for more management, more security as part of the CPU and the overall kind of chipset offering. But AMD has certainly brought a huge price performance story, and that they certainly kind of lay over a lot of the same places that Intel can play. So it's a conversation it's good to have with your technology partners in the industry. We can certainly sit down and help you kind of understand price performance and what your requirements are, and which CPU would be best. And then on top of that, there's these choices between NVIDIA and AMD on the GPU space, and whether you have a GPU or you want a system that has an NPU as well. We can help you navigate that. Time is short. The buying season is constrained. So you got to get it right the first time. But I think even more importantly, probably more important than I can remember in recent history, is the systems that you buy this year. They've got to handle one of the biggest changes in computing demand that we've ever seen. So it may not be, you know, demand that your agency has in the next 6 months, but these systems are going to have to last you 3, 4, 5 years, and that change is coming. And so you've got to get the decision right this go round. So we want to help you do that. So thank you. Thank you for your time today. Please don't hesitate to ask myself or my team for assistance in this journey. We can help you identify what systems need upgrading in your environment. We can help you define personas and categories for your approved product lists. And we look forward to doing that. I'll turn it over to Jason. I think, Jason, you're up, and then Andrew, and they'll walk you through how we can do some of these things.
Thanks, Scott. Thanks, everyone. Today in this next session here, we're going to kind of dive into how government agencies can modernize efficiently in the digital first era. My name is Jason Joseph. Scott, thanks for the intro. I've been with Dell for about 15 years. First 10 was in our delivery sections for our services delivery. In the last 5 or 6 years, I've been in Dell Federal, supporting the majority of civilian agencies. So, but yeah, we're going to explore actionable strategies leveraging Dell technologies and the Microsoft partnership. I don't think, let me see if I can go to my slides here. Oh, sorry, there we go. Perfect. So today's digital first world, government agencies, as you all know, are facing immense pressure to modernize and to modernize quickly. And really the driving factor behind that is to meet citizens' expectation for, more efficient, secure, and accessible services. With the partnership between Dell Technologies and Microsoft, and then combined with our Dell Technologies services, we can provide a robust framework for this transformational journey that everyone's going to have to take. This presentation here, this section, will kind of explore key modernization strategies, some of the barriers you might see out there, actionable steps, and then, AI's transformative potential. We talked a little bit about the hardware behind AI. We can talk to a little bit about the services and software around the AI for the modernization, especially what Windows 11, the role Windows 11 is going to play, and how Dell services we can enable your agencies to meet your goals. So globally, the way we worked, 4 or 5 years ago, the way we worked and where work got done was it was drastically changed, right? Every industry, every company, uh, every user and IT department was affected, right? We had to essentially switch from working from the office and collaborating face to face, and quickly, uh, shift that to a work from home and a remote function. At that time, Dell Technologies, we pioneered kind of workforce transformation. The idea behind that was in order for you to empower your workforce, uh, you needed to kind of provide your employees, your users, with the right devices, accessories, and then services, right, to do their jobs effectively. Um, Obviously, the pandemic really or accelerated that transformation of getting to a remote workforce. And at that time, agencies, and I've seen it across the board, agencies were kind of forced to grab whatever PC that would enable them to do that remote work, right? Well, guess what's coming up now? And I think Scott alluded to it. Uh, the refresh and the end of life of those devices are coming up, right? So now's a great opportunity to start looking at not just replacing directly with the exact systems maybe that you had to get 4 years ago, 4 or 5 years ago, but really leveraging personas, right, to identify what use cases that your users need to maybe get an AI enabled system, and then enabling and modernizing AI services. Today's world, right, our citizens are going to expect seamless and real-time digital services, but many of the government agencies rely on legacy systems that kind of will restrict that innovation. Obviously, there's some security constraints and controls in place that also restrict it. But modernization is not just technology. It's kind of a comprehensive transformation in the way we're going to deliver our services. By modernizing and moving forward with AI and other options, you're going to ensure the scalability while maintaining robust security and meeting the growing digital demands of our citizens. So obviously the rapid modernization, we're kind of at the precipice right now, again, with the hardware switching from kind of legacy systems over into AI enabled systems. AI is not going to go away. It's just going to increase. So to quickly modernize, we're going to focus on some of these strategies today, right? And that begins with adopting a cloud first mindset, kind of with Azure. Integrate your data centers with some Dell resilient hardware, and upgrade your endpoints. We will also offer targeted workshops, right? To Scott's point, looking at developing personas of who needs what use cases you need, really is going to play a point in the endpoint modernization efforts there. So combine these all together. That's what is going to be. It's going to form a robust and digital service platform. So obviously we talked about some strategies. With every modernization effort, we always run into barriers, right? Some agents or some entities and areas in industry are affected a little bit more by barriers. We all know we talked about DOGE and budget, et cetera, but the need to modernize is clear. Agencies, we're going to face, everyone's facing significant challenges in that aspect. We're now switched back from a remote workforce to a return to office. So we're dealing with a hybrid work mandate, coupled with evolving cyber threats. The legacy systems that everyone's using out there can impede the progress in modernization. The restricted budgets obviously is going to add complexity to get these things funded. From a hybrid work solutions, Dell Technologies and Microsoft can provide integrated tools like Azure, Dell devices to support both the remote and in-office work, really to ensure productivity and collaboration. We have from services perspective, cybersecurity enhancements, obviously looking at leveraging AI for AI-powered data protection and zero trust architectures. Really is going to be needed to combat the increasingly sophisticated cyber attacks and the different threat vectors that we're all facing. So I mentioned earlier Windows 11. Scott kind of touched on some of these, but why now, right? Is it time to move to Windows 11? Obviously, the answer is yes. Upgrading to Windows 11 is kind of the foundational and critical for driving AI adoption and improving the security postures within our agencies and our business. And Scott alluded to it earlier, especially Windows 10 support is ending obviously in October here this year. Windows 11 is a cornerstone of securing that modernization. It comes with robust security measures, enabling or with TPM 2.0, virtualization-based protections that safeguard sensitive data. It's also built in with native AI integrations with Microsoft 365 Copilot, which I think we'll talk a little bit, some of the use cases here with Andy in a little bit. But obviously that is there, the AI-driven functions behind that is to enhance productivity and facilitate, smarter workflows. Centralizing the management of this, centralizing and modernizing the IT management with like Intune for your modern management, makes handling the hybrid work situations and environments a lot more straightforward. In short, basically Windows 11 is built for the future, intelligent and secure our government operations. We'll get into a little bit of kind of a roadmap now, right? How do you transform? A lot of our customers are going to be in various states of that transformation. You could be you well on your way, right? You could already be scaling at enterprise level, rolling it out, etc. We've seen a lot of customers in various states though. So we've developed kind of this methodology of first, the pathway to modernization begins really with a thorough assessment of your IT environment. You go through identifying where the quick wins or the low-hanging fruit is, and then all the way use that information to develop and go through piloting these projects. And again, it could be just as simple as Intune, enablement, modern provisioning, autopilot, through those AI integrated functions, so you can then scale all these solutions together. What we have at Dell, right, engaging the Dell Technologies services, we can further ensure that every step of your journey is aligned with your agency's unique needs. And this slide here will just kind of outlines that roadmap in different areas of the AI journey, so to speak. So wrapping up, we're going to talk about more what Dell Technologies services can do for your modernization efforts. We do have Dell professional services that include accelerator workshops. These accelerator workshops are what we formerly used to call like whiteboard sessions, where we come onto a customer or government agency's site, or we can do it remote, and essentially do a whiteboard session to on AI. We have multi-cloud workshops, workforce experiences or the workforce modernization efforts, helping agencies unlock, kind of become more agile to reduce the complexities of where they're at in their journey and where they need to go. Lifecycle services, we cover this in some of the, lifecycle services touch every bit of your IT infrastructure and ecosystem, from planning all the way to automation. We have a robust training program to accelerate your technology adoption, while AI-powered automation can enhance that efficiency. Dell's expertise in addressing these legacy systems with like funding constraints and regulatory requirements, makes them we're an indispensable partner to help you along your journey. So I think right now, what I'll do is I will turn it over to Andy Salitra to kind of go over leveraging AI and go through some use cases and the impacts on the IT roadmaps. So, Andy?
Yeah, thanks, Jason. So Andy Slitra here. I've been with Dell since 2009 through an acquisition of another Microsoft partner. Today, I'm going to be speaking to you about use cases. I mean, I saw in the chat that somebody had asked a question, why do I need an AI PC? Okay. Well, for starters, Scott kind of talked about some of the types of applications that are, the slides are actually advancing. Let's go back. There we go. All right. Scott had kind of mentioned that there's a lot of applications that are starting to, enable AI capabilities. And that's everything from, applications for your help desk like ServiceNow to, I don't know why it's doing that, sorry, to applications like Zoom and Teams. Some of the more obvious kind of, use cases are things like, software development, for coders, or for developing AI use cases, or doing generative types of AI. So we're going to continue to see, more and more demand on the the operating system in terms of the robustness to be able to support those type of applications. But areas that I wanted to kind of focus on, from a federal use case perspective, are different things that we've been thinking about here at Dell in terms of how the capabilities within these devices can be leveraged to not just support, but accelerate and enhance mission outcomes. So let's talk about this from like a maintenance perspective, right? And we have a partner called Parametric Technologies that does AR, artificial reality, right? So with the NPU type capabilities on the devices, we have the ability essentially to use natural language to ask the device a question, to search for information, pull back a response. So if we think about this from Emily, I don't know if there's a way to turn off the animation at all, or I don't know why it's advancing.
We're looking at it. Give us one
Okay.
second to look at that. And I'm so sorry. It's probably causing lots of confusion for you all. We are going to take 1 second here, and we're going to go to this slide. Is this the slide you want us on, Andy?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, let's stay on the slide.
Okay.
Okay. So, while I'm mentioning, parametric technologies, it's not required for some aspects of the use case that I'm talking about here. So think about, like, I'm in the middle of a mission, I could be Border Patrol, I could be Forest Service, I could be USDA, I could be, a Marine, right? I'm out in the field and something happens to my equipment, right? With things like AI PCs, right? I don't have to be like an expert. I might have some spare parts like for the track on the bottom of like an armored vehicle, right? I can query, using natural language. Hey, here's kind of what's going on with my with my Humvee. I'm hearing this weird noise and blah blah blah, and it can help me potentially diagnose what the issue is. And then walk me through how to potentially fix that. or in a submarine. I'm underwater and a turbine goes down, or the ventilation system is having an issue. Obviously, I can't necessarily come up to fix it or bring somebody down to fix it. I can use some of these tools to kind of help me go through that process. Or for like DOE to kind of analyze, some of their warhead stockpile and being able to do preventive maintenance checks on it. Or, at the International Space Station, to allow an astronaut to perform a maintenance procedure. Now, I mean, you could have just manuals and people trying to talk you through it, but the power of the AI PC or leveraging things like Copilot makes it much easier for you to be able to do that, not only faster, but more efficiently, getting you kind of back on track with your mission. Kind of the second, type of use case that I wanted to talk about is for disaster relief. Now, this could be for FEMA workers. This could be for the National Guard. This could be for local first responders that kind of come in, after a hurricane or a flood. And quite often in a lot of those scenarios, particularly hurricanes or tornadoes, local communication's been wiped out. Well, there's a lot of capabilities in a AI PC that do not require connectivity to the cloud. So those scenarios I kind of talked about before, the maintenance scenarios, you don't have to be connected to the cloud to be able to do that. You don't have to be connected to the cloud to create a form. So, hey, I show up on site as a field agent, I'm Lisa, I show up, and in my to-go kit, for some reason, nobody packed the forms that I'm supposed to be able to use in the shelter, in the response center, to hand out to people to help me figure out what I need to provide to them, or what tools, supplies, et cetera, are we going to need, right? Well, you can do a lot of that stuff directly on the device. You can create those forms. You can also create local networks. So I do talk about things like leveraging Dell's 5G private network capability, which does not require cloud connectivity. But you can also do local machine-to-machine connectivity using an AI PC to distribute those forms, or communicate and collaborate kind of with the other field agents or first responders or things like that. And I think the most powerful one is that these AI PCs also have the ability to do translation on the fly, and they're loaded with 40 native languages right out of the box. Now, think about the power of that. If I go into like, New York or an LA or Florida, I don't speak all those languages, right? But I can do the language translation on the fly. I can convert those forms, put them on the device that I hand out, and allow somebody to kind of answer, information about their house or what services they need in their native language, and then compile all that without requiring a connection to the cloud. So, I mean, very much when we go in and talk to customers about, Copilot plus PCs or AI PCs, that whole idea around the persona is extremely important. Because what we need to really kind of understand is what is it that you not necessarily want to accomplish, but can accomplish, right? A lot of these use cases I'm talking about are very much kind of the art of the possible, because a lot of agencies that we work with, or departments, don't even realize that they have the ability to do some of these things. So things like enhanced surveillance. Without being connected to the cloud, I can do a border patrol mission where I've got drones that can go off, 10 miles downrange, leveraging our 5G private network capability. And because it's using 5G, I can handle enhanced video processing to do facial recognition without having to connect to the cloud because I have all that content with me on the device. That's what an AI PC can do. Or assist with mission planning. You know, when you're out in the field, and that mission could be a DoD mission. That mission could be a fire response. You know, and being able to put a drone up and do some processing there, and I don't have to be connected to the cloud. Or medical support. You know, I have somebody who gets injured, be it a soldier or a first, somebody fighting a fire or whatever. I might not have that first responder with me, right? But maybe I've been based on some basic, medical aid. But I can pull up a lot of additional things and use natural language to say, hey, I think this person has a broken bone. Help me understand how to set that. Or things like public health monitoring, during a pandemic or an outbreak, where I can put air sensors up and then use the power of the AI PC to do the processing of what they're detecting. Or infrastructure management. Think of things like power plants or the grid or nuclear facilities. Particularly things like nuclear facilities, things that are not connected to the network. But because I have AI capabilities on the device, I now have enhanced capabilities to do infrastructure management or environmental protection to do water testing or law enforcement, border protection. I know I kind of touched on those. One of the big areas is things like State Department and other diplomatic engagements by leveraging that language translation. I can interact with somebody in their native language and immediately get the translation. That's the power of an AI PC. That's some of the things that it can do. With that, Emily, I'll turn it back to you.
Awesome. Well, thank you three so much for walking us through this presentation today. It certainly gave us a lot to think about. So we only have a few minutes left. So I want to very quickly go through a few questions that we've gotten from our attendees. And we'll do these, gentlemen, in rapid fire format here to make sure we get through as many as we possibly can. So Jason, I'm going to start with you because one of the things that I think became really clear through all three of your presentations is that we're in a digital first world. Government agencies are really under pressure to modernize. So when you're looking at agencies and you're looking at the steps that they're going to have to take, what are some key ways that you see that they're able to realize some of these modernization efforts?
So, great question. So, when we've got the different customers coming to us asking about, I alluded to earlier, like they're at different states in their journey to modernize. So the quickest way that our customers can kind of recognize some of these modernization efforts, we look at doing something like through assessments, right? We'll come in and I alluded to that earlier too, is we start with a kind of a thorough assessment of where the customer's at. And then we take that, and that's kind of like the baseline of what we need to go from. We can develop roadmaps that are customized to each individual customer's requirements and kind of lay that out. We talk about it as in an as is and to be scenario. We develop the as is with the customer. We take their guiding principles and their visions of what the future wants or what they need, and then we'll kind of develop that future state or the to be state. Obviously, there's going to be some gaps sometimes in that, so we'll identify like where those gaps are and what initiatives need to be put in place to kind of cover those and close those gaps. So that's usually the quickest way, is to have a very firm understanding of what your current ecosystem and IT environment looks like, from either assessment wise or whatever. And then realistically look at what the future needs to be. That way you can see that, maturation along the way, and kind of almost like a punch board of checking off of, okay, we've got this initiative done, let's move on to the next one. Or you can kind of prioritize those initiatives too when they're kind of laid out in front of you and formalized like that.
Yeah. Nothing feels better for us type A individuals as crossing something off of a to-do list or an initiative. So I appreciate that. So Scott, we kind of kicked things off talking about the fact that everyone was hybrid. Well, I shouldn't say everyone. A lot of government folks were hybrid. Now they're returning to office in some capacity, maybe, maybe not. It's an ongoing and evolving situation. There's a lot of cybersecurity challenges that come with this, a lot of digital service delivery. What are some of the top barriers that you see with your government partners as they're looking to navigate this environment? Where are those challenges popping up?
Yeah, it's not dissimilar for us at Dell, and
Mm-hmm.
for a lot of commercial companies. I think anybody that kind of monitors the space realizes we've all been asked to go back to work, and be in the office at various degrees. And so this is a journey that Dell as a company has gone through and is going through, both having people work from home and bringing them back. And I think one of the biggest challenges is really around, what space, like where do these people go and work? Is there space for them? Or are the systems that are in place sufficient for them to do the work that's required? Are all the client peripherals and displays in place? That's been a big kind of piece of work that we've been doing, is putting together different bundles of cameras and monitors and docks, and Thunderbolt docks, and things that will handle a variety of systems, so people can kind of come and hotel in different spaces. Those have been kind of the big ones. We transitioned everybody to laptops, and now if you're in the same workspace every day, actually a desktop may be better for what you do, because it has more power and it has more capability. I think those are kind of the big ones.
Yeah, that makes sense. So I think I would be remiss if we didn't talk about the AI of it all. And I know you all mentioned this in various capacities throughout the presentation as well. But I think, is the word alongside efficiency for 2025 here. And so my question for you, Andy, is, as agencies are looking to update their Windows 11, how does that actually translate to perhaps more AI adoption or AI adoption? If in any capacity, what is that correlation between what might seem as simple as an update and the move to AI?
Um, well, I mean, with the latest versions of Windows 11, AI is being built directly into the operating system.
Mm-hmm.
So there are enhanced capabilities that get unlocked through just upgrading.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it also includes some of the security tools and stuff that would be running on that device to protect it. But as I kind of, mentioned before, when I kind of kick off the use case section, it's starting to become prevalent, in so many types of applications and stuff that are out there that will be running on that device.
Yeah.
So
No, that makes perfect sense. All right, so final question, and this one is going to be for all three of you. You all presented a ton of information today, and so I want you to give me a takeaway or a lesson learned that you want our audience to walk away with. Obviously, they can download these presentations, but Scott, I'm going to start with you. What should attendees take away from our session today?
Um, AI is here whether you kind of think it is or not, and there's a lot of decisions to be made. There's a lot of complexity in the silicon and then the graphics processing units and capability, and there's industry is here to help you through that.
I think that is a wonderful message. Jason, how about you?
Yeah, so kind of stress the fact that the new AI enabled systems or AI capable systems does not mean that AI is automatically on them. To Scott's point, right? AI is not going away. What we need to do with customers is one, make sure you get all your systems over to Windows 11 at least, right? Because that's for security and AI capabilities, it's going to be built in there. But also start looking at what data governance is and what things you need to assess your situation. Because I think there was a saying not too long ago that AI is not going to take someone's job. Someone using AI is going to take your job. So you got to embrace it and go forward.
I have definitely heard that phrase quite a few times over the past couple of months, and it makes sense. All right, Andy, you've got the hardest job here. What's a unique takeaway that the other two gentlemen didn't give for our attendees here today?
Yeah, the heart of AI is data.
Mhm.
Okay. In order to unlock the potential of AI, the first thing you have to do is make sure that your data is ready for AI. That includes, using tools like Purview for data classification and tagging or role-based access control so that whatever I want to use AI to surface, that it actually gives me back not just what I want as the result, but what I have the right to see kind of based on my role or my clearance or, you know, um, data is also very prevalent with what you buy from Dell today. And we have so many federal customers that don't take advantage of all the data associated with the hardware that they buy from Dell that we offer to them for free. So as a starting point, if part of your AI journey is related to IT, reach out to your Dell folks and maybe have a conversation just around what data do you have access to from what you're buying from us as a starting point.
I think that's great advice. I want to thank the three of you for sharing your insights with us today. You gave me a lot to think about, and I know you did for our attendees as well. So we are giving you a virtual round of applause. But that applause does mean, unfortunately, we are out of time for today's session. But before everyone logs off, I do have a few quick reminders. First things first, there are some great resources available for you to download in the resources section of today's session. So make sure you check those out before you log off. We'll also be sending you a link to the on-demand version of this session tomorrow. So if you want to review it again or send it along to one of your colleagues, please feel free to do so. But on behalf of GovLoop, Dell Technology, and Microsoft, I really hope you enjoyed today's session. And as always, we really appreciate and value the work that you do. So thanks for taking the time out of your busy schedules to join us this afternoon. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and we'll see you in our next training. Bye, everybody.
Thank you.